Michael Pratt may be one of the more interesting prospects in this year's NFL draft. Pratt did not begin playing football until his freshman year of high school, helped turn the Tulane program around, and may have some of the best leadership skills in this year's draft class. But can he translate what worked in college to the NFL? Only time will tell. This is the story of Michael Pratt, the most interesting quarterback in the 2024 NFL draft class. But before we get into this, if you enjoy college football and spring league football content like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, let me know who your favorite quarterback is in this year's NFL draft in the comment section below. Michael Pratt was born on September 30th, 2001, and grew up in Boca Raton, Florida. Pratt never played football growing up, nor did he even go to private or public school. Instead, he was homeschooled by his parents through the 8th grade. Pratt's mother had homeschooled her kids since their eldest daughter was in 3rd grade. Michael loved the freedom being homeschooled brought, telling NOLA.com, "I got to wake up whenever, and then really I just had a list of stuff I had to do. As soon as I got those things done, I'd go to the beach, go fishing, and do stuff like that every day." Heading into his freshman year, Pratt's father, who was a general contractor at the time, moved to Virginia to go to law school, and his mother went back to work full-time as a teacher and then later a principal at a private Christian middle school. Although he had been homeschooled, Pratt was actually very good at meeting new people and making new friends, doing so throughout his childhood. So when the transition to high school came, it wasn't as difficult as one might think. When Pratt arrived at Boca Raton High School, he decided to try to convince his parents to let him play football. He played baseball growing up and was a pretty good pitcher and shortstop, believing he was better at that than any other sport he would ever play, but he was burnt out on playing baseball and needed a change of scenery. His parents were heartbroken by this news, as they had always been a baseball family, but they understood. Pratt's father had always kept him from playing football because of the injury risks linked to the game, but his parents had finally conceded after all the major changes. Pratt played junior varsity as a freshman and instantly fell in love with football, quickly developing a passion for the game. He chose to play quarterback due to his pitching background and began to figure out ways to improve his game. He realized his release was too long because of the baseball background and figured a way to fix that issue. Michael would win the starting job his sophomore year and threw for 1,208 yards and 12 touchdowns, while also rushing for 447 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground as a junior, leading Boca Raton to a 5-5 record. Although he was committed to the school he wanted to go to, he felt he needed to be better and play against better competition, so he decided to transfer to Deerfield Beach in August of his senior year. What made this decision intriguing was the fact that Deerfield already had an established starting quarterback in Deron King, who was committed to Southern Miss at the time. Pratt told the Palm Beach Post, "I wanted to go somewhere where there was another good quarterback, where I'd have to go 110% each and every single practice, every rep." Honestly, it played out really well. Pratt would not just compete when he arrived at Deerfield, he would actually dethrone King as a school starting quarterback, would suffer an early season abductor injury that sidelined him for a few weeks. Pratt was not afraid of the quarterback battle or even having to be a backup, explaining, "This was a big step and my main purpose was to prepare for college. Once I get to college, there's going to be 4 or 5 other quarterbacks over there. I'm going to have to learn how to beat whoever out." Deerfield was a major step up in competition, being ranked the 13th best program in the state of Florida and the 77th best team in the nation at the time, according to Max Preps. Deerfield dominated throughout the season, outscoring opponents 436-39 in their first 9 wins of the season. In the regional semifinal, Pratt threw for 158 passing yards and 2 touchdowns while also rushing for a touchdown in their 44-6 win over Palm Beach Central. He would finish his senior year throwing for 1,380 passing yards and 16 touchdowns, while also rushing for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns, according to Max Pratt. They would finish the year 10-4, losing in the Class 8A semifinals to Columbus 28-21. Coming out of high school, according to 24/7 Sports Composite, Michael Pratt was a 3-star recruit who was the 47th best pro-style quarterback and 1,364th best player in the 2020 recruiting class. He received over 15 different Division I offers from the likes of Buffalo, Florida Atlantic, Northern Illinois, Toledo, and Tulane, as well as a handful of Ivy League schools. Michael chose Tulane after taking an unofficial visit to the campus and proceeded to develop a relationship with the players already on the roster. On his official visit, Pratt made linebacker Nick Anderson a believer, with Anderson explaining, "I met Mike and I could see the fire in his eyes. He was ready to come in, compete, and battle with toughness." things were on the up and up for Pratt, but he would also experience tragedy around this time period. Pratt's close friend, Bryce Gowdy, would be killed after being hit by a freight train on December 30th, 2019. Gowdy had signed to play at Georgia Tech and had become Pratt's closest friend during his one semester at Deerfield, with Pratt explaining, "It was devastating. He was my guy when I was at Deerfield. He pushed me the most out of anybody after practice. Even the days when I was exhausted or not in a good mood, he was always making sure that me and him were getting 5 extra fade balls before I went home. Stuff like that." Pratt would request to switch his number from 13 to 7 in honor of his friend, and got Gowdy's unofficial motto, "Believe," with the 7 intersecting where the L is tattooed on his arm. Michael Pratt would enroll at Tulane during the wild period of 2020, when many wondered whether there was actually going to be a season. He impressed early on and even took over the starting quarterback job 3 games into his freshman year after starter Keon Howard, who was a senior, got hurt against Southern Miss. Throughout his freshman year, Pratt would continue to improve week in and week out. He finished his freshman year going 4-5 as a starter, throwing for 1,806 yards, 20 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, while also rushing for 229 yards and 8 touchdowns on the ground. Tulane would struggle in 2021, going 2-9, with Pratt as their starting quarterback, and finished the year 2-10, after being displaced by Hurricane Ida for the first part of the 2021 season. They were living in a hotel in Birmingham, ordering Uber Eats to feed the players, and had no real access to fitness equipment, with colleges revoking their access to gyms due to an uptick in a certain word I don't know if I could actually say on YouTube anymore, cases increasing. Pratt would finish the year throwing for 2,390 yards, 21 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, while also rushing for 5 touchdowns on the ground. But 2022 would be the year both Michael Pratt and Tulane would break out, turning all but 3 starters. They started off the season 6-1, making it the first time since 1998 that they were bowl eligible and ranked in the top 25 by mid-October. They would proceed to win the Cotton Bowl over a Caleb Williams-led USC team, and Pratt finished his junior year throwing for 3,009 yards, 27 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, while also rushing for 478 yards and 10 touchdowns on the ground. Tulane would finish the year 11-2, and Pratt would be named second-team All-AAC. During his senior year, Pratt would play in 11 of Tulane's 14 games, going 10-1 as a starter, losing to SMU in the conference title game. Pratt would choose to sit out the bowl game to finish his senior year, throwing for 2,406 yards, 22 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, while also rushing for 5 touchdowns on the ground. He would be named first-team All-AAC and AAC Offensive Player of the Year. Pratt finished his Tulane career throwing for 9,611 yards, 90 touchdowns and 26 interceptions, while also rushing for 1,147 yards and 28 touchdowns on the ground, finishing as one of the greatest quarterbacks in school history. Pratt believes the culture built by Willie Fritz and the turnaround they went through makes him a strong prospect, explaining, I think one of the biggest things is, who you are as a person. Coach Fritz did an awesome job bringing a great job to the program and really creating a culture. In his interview, Pratt put a real emphasis on the importance of mentality, character, and leadership in the NFL. He is projected to be a middle-round draft pick and could be a fun player to keep an eye on when it comes to this year's NFL draft class. What do you think? Who drafts Michael Pratt and when? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out one of my other videos YouTube thinks you will love right here. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, remember to embrace the grind.